everybody. This is Noelle from Petitti Garden Centers, and we're here on a beautiful spring day. And guess what? The crab apples are in bloom, so we decided to do a spotlight for you on growing crabapple trees. So the first thing you need to know is that crab apples are part of the apple family. They are the Malus genus, which your edible normal apples are part of. And crab apples are, again, just part of that Malus family. They are actually, when you determine a crab apple, it's actually an apple that produces a fruit that is 2 inches, or less. So that's where they get classified as crab apples, okay? I think I mentioned it before, but apples are part of the rose family, the Rosaceae. So they have lovely blooming, a lot of these crab apples as you walk down this aisle today. Oh my gosh, they're so fragrant, wonderfully fragrant, really, really beautiful bloomers in the springtime for us. They do produce fruit. Most of them do produce fruit, although I do have one variety that doesn't, so I'll point that out to you. And you do need to keep an eye on them, even though they're sun lovers and they're fairly drought tolerant once they're established, like roses are. They can have some disease and pest issues, so we're going to talk about that too. So just be aware of that. But for the most part, a lot of the crab apples that we grow are fairly good as far as disease resistance is concerned. And just a little tidbit of information as well, when you're growing an edible apple, a full-size apple, they're usually grafted onto crab apple rootstock because crab apples are super cold hardy and have better disease resistance than some of your normal edible apples. So just so you're aware. And I shouldn't say it that way because crab apples are edible, but they're very, very sour tasting, and that kind of goes towards their name. A lot of people think that they're called crab apples because of the sour taste of their fruit, and that makes you crabby. Other folks have said that it's the kind of the shape that they could be like gnarly sometimes, and you'll see that with some older crab apples and apple varieties that can kind of look gnarled, so they look kind of crabby. But I think it really comes from the Scottish word for crab apple or wild apple is scrab. And I think the S just got removed. So now you have crab apple. Okay, good history lesson for you. Let's talk about spotlight here and what do we need to know to grow these successfully. Number one, again, they love full sun. So that's 6 or more hours of sunlight, bright sunny areas, eastern, western, southern exposure, northern exposure, way out in the yard, away from the house and so forth, because we really don't want the shading in order for them to bloom and develop and do the things that they really do well for us, okay? So full sun conditions, awesome. All right. Second, we want to know about soil. So soil, they would prefer a well-drained but moist. I know that always sounds a little counterintuitive, but well-drained, moist, slightly acidic, amended soil. Just so you know, most plant material grow very, very well in slightly acidic to neutral pH. So this, that crabapple trees are no exception to that. So slightly acidic, just so you're aware, and amended. So always putting in those organic matters into your soil, especially when you're planting this tree. It's really, really important, especially in our area where we have a lot of clay. And so that organic matter is always going to break up those clay particles for us. So that's always a really good thing. Okay. Third thing, watering. So these plants do, when you're first establishing them, again, that 1 inch of water, 1 time per week, slow, thorough watering to get them established. Okay. Get those root systems to move down into our clay soil. Take some time. But after that first year of establishment, these trees are fairly drought tolerant. I don't want you to stop watering them when we have dry periods during the summer, but they don't need as much water as maybe something like a hydrangea, for example, okay? So continue watching out for that. That 1 inch of water per week is pretty important for most plant material, including your lawn and perennials and all that good stuff, okay? But they do have a good tolerance of those drier conditions. So that's always a good thing to have. Let's see, fertilizer. So when we're feeding these trees, again, they're deciduous plants. So we are usually feeding them plant tone and iron tone, and we'll apply that in the spring. And once again, we'll apply it midsummer, and that's it. That's really all they need. They're not heavy feeders at all. They do their thing for us. And again, we enjoy them throughout the year, actually. So then the last thing that I wanted to mention was maintenance. So again, pruning maintenance, most of the varieties that we carry are tree forms. There is one hedge form, and I'll mention that as well. But the tree forms, as far as crabapples are concerned, with all of these varieties, and there's like over 700 cultivated varieties out there in commerce all over the world. So there's a lot to choose from. But very specifically, these trees and these newer cultivated varieties, they grow really, really well for us. They are shaped well. They don't have that gnarly form like I was mentioning earlier that makes them crabby. They really have some really beautiful shapes and forms. So if you prune them early on and, remove the 3Ds, that disease, damaged, dead, areas off the plant, do that in late winter, early spring, okay? That's when you want to control that. You want to control any of the suckering. So these plants are typically grafted. So look at your graft point, usually at the base of the trunk. If there's any suckering stems coming out from that area, remove those, because suckers are always pulling energy away from the main plant, okay? And also water sprouts. So those straight up vertical branches that you see inside the canopy there. And they're just, again, pulling energy away from the main plant. So you want to make sure that you're removing all of those things. Anything that's thin, crossing, rubbing, those are branches also that we want to remove. So you have some pruning maintenance there as well. The other part of this is, again, I wanted to go back to that disease point of it. They're part of the rose family. Sure, they can get some diseases, some mildews, rust, scab, that type of thing too. Fire blight is one of those things we have to watch out for as well. It's very localized. So in Ohio, we have basically a test area, a trial area at Seacrest Arboretum with hundreds of crabapples. So there have been testing and trialing these different varieties of crabapples, and every place that you grow a crabapple, they perform a little bit differently. So crabapples that grow really well in Ohio for us might be totally different for a different Midwestern region, Northeastern region, even far west region, okay? So if you're in Ohio, we have a lot of good information about crabapples for you. But again, it might be a little bit different as far as their disease resistant and other necks of the woods or environments, okay? So all these that I'm going to show you today have fairly good to excellent disease resistance for them. They grow very, very well in our Zone 6 environment. Very cold hardy, no problems there. So we don't want to have to spray these. But again, being part of the apple family, sometimes you run into issues. And so you would just use an orchard spray. Captain Jack's orchard spray is a great spray to use, and you would use that throughout the season. And again, if you go to petittigardencenter.com, we have a spray schedule, all those types of things. And it would be the same spray schedule that you would do with your normal size apples, okay? If you ran into a problem, you really shouldn't. All right. So let's talk about attributes, because again, I was talking about how beautiful blooming they are. There's fragrance. Oh my gosh, very, very sweet, perfumey fragrance from these plants. Really, really wonderful. They are very attractive to your pollinators, especially early forage for your bees. So trees for bees, my gosh, crabapple is one of the best varieties for them. The mason bees love them. And, they're such a great early consumer of pollen and nectar and those types of things for us too. So great plant to have. And a lot of these crabapples are 3 to 4 season interest out there in the garden. So we can use them as focal points. We can use them as berry producers, if you will, fruit producers for your songbirds. If you like to have birds in the garden, that they're wonderful plants for that. And you go through your flowering. Some have really beautiful foliage color during the season. And then, other than green, I should say, and then they'll transform and mature into fall coloring. So they have different fall colors as well, different varieties do. And then their forms as well. Some of these forms are really beautiful, perfectly round shapes or oval shapes or spreading shapes. So you have a lot of interest over the winter too with that growth form or habit. Okay. So really great plants out there. Okay, let's talk about varieties. And right here, I'm standing next to a fairly popular variety. This one's called Sugar Thyme, T-Y-M-E, not T-H-Y-M-E. Okay, so Sugar Thyme. Sugar Thyme is probably a medium-sized grower. And I should mention, crabapples are around like 10 to 10 foot, okay, 10 foot tall, 10 foot wide, all the way up to about 25 foot tall, 25 foot wide. So you have everything in between, all different shapes and sizes. So I wanted to mention that too. Sugar Thyme is kind of on the medium side. You've got 15 to 20 foot tall and wide with this plant. Has excellent disease resistance. So Sugar Thyme is always going to be a great one to grow for you. Obviously beautiful, bright green foliage and really pretty soft pink buds that open to white. So they are really a beautiful plant. Interesting on Sugar Thyme, they have a persistent fruit and it's small and persistent. And I'm actually, because Taylor, it's going to be hard to see, but I'll pull this one off. So Sugar Thyme has like a pea-sized fruit, maybe a little bit bigger. They form them in clusters and they are really a bright, beautiful, shiny red when they are formed. And then they'll stay. So when we say resistant or persistent fruit, they'll stay on the tree usually throughout the winter season for something to look at. And then in the spring, they start to shed, okay? So they do have this persistent fruit. There's a newer variety called Proven Winners Sweet Sugar Thyme. It's a little bit more compact than regular Sugar Thyme, a little bit more improved also, where the fruit stay a beautiful color and don't even really shrivel like a little prune, if you will, or a little raisin. They stay very nice. So they'll last all the way through the spring. So again, kind of an upgraded winter interest on that sweet Sugar Thyme too. So look for those varieties as well. Okay, let's keep walking and we're going to look at this one on my left. So this is actually snowdrift. And snowdrift is one of the most beautiful, uniform growing crabapples. It just has a very picturesque, rounded, very dense, more upright habit to it in the landscape. This is used as a focal point quite often in different plantings because it just has such a wonderful presence, uniform, formal presence to it. Really beautiful. Obviously, those slight pink buds, again, white flowers with this one. Again, beautiful fragrance, okay? And snowdrift will fill out, will really look nice, has a beautiful golden color, yellow color for the fall. And then the berries on this one are more of an orangey color, so very pretty. Again, the berries, the fruit on these, I should say, are smaller. You're looking at maybe 3/8 of an inch, very small. Not as persistent as Sugar Thyme, but still you'll have some food for the songbirds and some winter interest on this tree. So that's a really great variety. And you'll see a lot of snowdrift on this side of the tree line that we have here as well. Okay, I wanted to show you this purple. Now, this is Purple Prince, okay? And Purple Prince is going to be one of the darkest flowering and darkest fruit producing, okay? Purple Prince, you can tell, has that almost like deep purpley rose color for the foliage or flower, excuse me. The foliage is going to be kind of on that bronzy green to purple side, okay? Very, very attractive. And then the fruit is going to be a deep maroon color when it does come to form. This is a 20 by 20 as well, and again, nice rounded habit with this one. So if you're looking for the darker foliage, darker flowering, darker fruit, look for Purple Prince. We also have another purple variety, and I think it's called Perfect Purple, excuse me. And very, very similar. The flowering, however, is just slightly lighter in color. The fruit is just slightly lighter in color. So when you put the two together, they're very, very hard to distinguish. But just so you know, there are some beautiful purple varieties available out there with your crab apples, okay? This one is a cute little beauty, and Angela Petitti talks about this one all the time. So this one's called Coral Burst, okay? And Coral Burst is going to be more of a compact. This is probably one of our smallest tree varieties that we have here. Coral Burst at the most is usually about like 15 foot tall and wide. But I'd say it kind of ranges between 10 and 15 foot tall and wide with this. Stays nice and compact for you. Beautiful flowering here. You get a nice showy pink, sort of more coral buds that open up to that showy pink there. Some of these flowers are like a semi-double. Every once in a while you see like an extra petal in there, but really, really beautiful. And you can tell this canopy is going to it's just going to form this nice rounded top on it, okay? So really pretty, really nice tree for those smaller spaces, near patios and porches, and you just want a smaller flowering tree. Again, great fragrance on this tree. Really, I don't know why I keep on smelling them because they're all pretty fragrant, but just beautiful, beautiful habit, very compact and nice, okay? So that's Coral Burst here. It does produce fruit. It produces kind of like it's sort of bronzy yellow when it comes out. The color is hard to describe. So it's sort of bronzy golden yellow, and they're about 3/8 of an inch. They're not too big, and they'll persist a little bit on the tree as well for that winter color interest. Okay, so really pretty small crabapple there. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna keep on going, and we're gonna go back over this side, Taylor. This is Robinson. Robinson is probably one of our largest crab apples. This is going to be a nice, again, beautiful rounded canopy. Robinson's going to be probably 25 feet tall and wide. Okay, so you need some space, open areas, really, really beautiful. You'll see the foliage is sort of bronzy green as well, kind of like Purple Prince is, okay? Beautiful bronzy green foliage, and that's kind of how it stays. This one will kind of go through some color changes. In the fall, you'll get some yellows, a little bit of orange, so that's really nice as well. Beautiful rosy pink flowers, very dark buds on this one, sort of a burgundy red, and then they open up to nice sort of deep pink, clear pink as well, sort of fading to that too. But beautiful, beautiful tree. It does produce fruit. So this one's going to be kind of a reddish fruit, if you will. Again, a smaller size, not so persistent on Robinson. So, and the birds will come through and eat these as well. So, again, beautiful variety. And as I mentioned, all of these have fair to good to excellent disease resistance. So we really shouldn't see any problems with Robinson. Now, back to this white, and this is a little bit different than I showed you. So before I showed you Snowdrift, and Snowdrift, I was saying, has a very formal look to it. It's very upright, rounded, very, very dense. This is Spring Snow. Now, spring snow is a beautiful white. It doesn't have as much pink in the buds when it's opening up. So it really is kind of a pure white. And this crabapple, a lot of folks desire because it is fruitless, or I should say almost fruitless. Okay. So you'll very rarely see them produce any of the fruit that we normally see with the crabapples. Okay. Beautiful green foliage, rounded habit, 20 by 20 really. But I'm going to tell you that it's really, if you're looking for a white and you like that pure, really beautiful green foliage, this is going to be one for you if you don't want to attract the birds or you don't want to have any of the fruit, okay? So that is a great variety as well. Okay, Taylor, am I out? Oh, I forgot to mention. So we do have a Sargent's crabapple. It's Malus sargentii. So it is a species of crabapple that is, and I should have mentioned, crabapples grow all over the world. So you have Asian varieties, you have European varieties. There are also native varieties of crabapple. And sargentii is an Asian variety, but it's almost like it's a shrub form, okay? It's naturally dwarf. And Taylor's going to show you a picture of it, but it has a really pretty sort of spreading habit to it. It can grow up to like 6 to 8 foot tall. So it can grow kind of like a hedge where it grows tall and then it can kind of like spread out to about 9 to 15 foot. So again, hedge type crabapple, really pretty, pink buds, white flowers, very fragrant, and also excellent disease resistant. So if you want to try growing crabapples, but you weren't really looking for a tree, you were looking for something a little bit different, the Sargent's crabapple would be a nice one for you. Every once in a while, we see the Sargent's crabapple is grafted on top of a trunk, like a 4-foot trunk or so, and then you'll see the Sargent's crabapple kind of spreading form. But this one that we have this year is more of that shrub form, okay? So that's always really fun and different to put in the landscape. So look for your crabapples, full sun, well-drained but moist soil, amended soil. Always amend your soil before you're planting, okay? Definitely look into, and not bad as far as fertilizer is concerned. Again, deciduous trees and shrubs where they lose their leaves, we want to feed them once in the spring, once in midsummer. That's going to be with plant tone and iron tone with these guys. The crabapples are edible, but typically we see them used in things like jams, jellies, usually not picked right off the tree. So just keep that in mind. The songbirds absolutely love those fruit. The pollinators absolutely love these flowers. So you'll see and there's bees buzzing around right now around our heads. And Taylor's like, yes, they are. So needless to say, they're really active on the crabapples. So it's always a really good pollinator attractant. And really, keep them watered, especially that first year, that 1 inch of water 1 time per week, and go from there. Enjoy.